This is a Voyescape podcast. You can find all of our travel podcasts from around the world at voyescape.com.
Big, beautiful, and bursting with energy, Thailand's dynamic capital is a city that you either love or hate. This week, David and I are going to peel back the layers on Bangkok. David, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How are you, Tim? And where are you, Tim?
I'm doing very well. I am in the Bahamas. They say it's better in the Bahamas. It really is better in the Bahamas. It's beautiful here. I'm at Baha Mar, which is a big resort. It's got 3 hotels. I can't remember how many restaurants. I don't know, 35, 45 restaurants, something like that. In Nassau, just 10 minutes from the airport here in Nassau. So beautiful, multicolored water, beach, pools. I am here attending a conference, which isn't quite as much fun as sitting at the pool, but it's still a beautiful place to be. And how are you?
Well, if you got to be at a conference, Bahamas.
Exactly. But it's been a good conference, but it's been a little bit tough to look out on that beach and not be on the beach.
That's right.
How are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. Just got back from a trip from California here a week or two ago, and got back a couple of months ago from a trip to where we're talking about today, from Bangkok, Thailand, which I know is a place you've spent a lot of time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've been to Bangkok. I can't even count the number of times I've been to Bangkok, 10, 12 times maybe. I always say in Southeast Asia, all roads lead to Bangkok. You can go to the islands in the south. You can go to Cambodia. You can go, anywhere, in Southeast Asia from Bangkok. But I know you've been there much more recently than I've been there, and let's jump right into it. Here's the big question of the episode. Do you love Bangkok or do you hate it? I love Bangkok. I'm going to say I love the chaos. You've got to embrace the chaos. I love it. But how do you feel about Bangkok?
It would be one of my top 10 cities for sure in the world. I think there is a ton to do there culturally. It's got some of the best food anywhere in the world. It's got a great range of places to stay on all ends of the budget spectrum. And as you say, it really just makes that perfect jumping off point for exploring the rest of Thailand and the rest of Southeast Asia as well. I mean, it's been a place attracting, since the 60s, a popular backpacker spot, and continuing to grow in popularity and bringing all kinds of different travelers since. And it's certainly a place where you can spend a ton of time. There's so much to dig into culturally there.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the intro I said about peeling back the layers, it really is like an onion. Like you can go, I mean, again, I've been, maybe a dozen times, and I don't even feel like I've scratched the surface. There's just so many layers to it. And it's a place I feel like you can leave your hotel, turn to the left, turn to the right, and you're going to have an experience. There is nothing boring about this city. There's the smell of the street food and the even the traffic, is fascinating. So it's an amazing place. But let's talk hotels. I mean, Bangkok, I think, is one of the best cities in the world for hotels, but on both ends of the spectrum. And I know you have a couple of hotels on either end of that, on those bookends. And maybe let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I discovered a super cool place during my last day that I ended up staying at probably 5-6 days, just because I was planning on going to a conference myself over in Asia, and I had a couple of days to kill and was looking for somewhere not too expensive. Did some research, and I found a sort of small boutique hotel in Bangkok called Haheng House, Haheng House. It's in the Dusit district, which is a really, really quiet part of town. It's largely residential, but sort of upscale residential, I would say. A lot of embassies around it, royal palace, a number of the Wat temple structures that are nearby, and the Chao Phraya River is just a short walk from it as well. But I mean, it was only about 6-7 rooms. They had, historic, I think it was like a packing house or something, where they've got these old hardwood floors, beautiful bathrooms, and it was $30 a night, $40 a night. So really inexpensive. And you could get anywhere in the city. Like I use they have their equivalent of Uber there, Grab, their ride sharing app. If you needed to get to virtually any end of the city, it was never more than $5, $7 to jump in a Grab and be there a few minutes later, and then come back to this very quiet residential district where it was all locals eating at the restaurants, and it was very few other tourists in the neighborhood. I thought it was a fantastic find. Really happy to have landed there for a few days.
I love that. I feel like, too, Bangkok, just to add a note, it's a city where the service standard is high, pretty much no matter what level. I've stayed, same thing, $30, $40, $50 a night hotels, and there's still, the service standard in those hotels. You want a bucket of ice, or you ask for, advice from the concierge or whatever. It's there. I mean, you don't have to spend $1,000 a night to have that high service standard. It's Thais take great pride in providing good service, and that's, I don't know, one of my favorite things about the city as well.
Now, if you do want to spend $1,000 a night,
yeah, exactly. I was going to say you have something on the other end as well. So yeah,
there are some great places to do that. Yeah, I mean, there was one that I spent some time at. Didn't stay, but did go have a great meal at, called the Siam. And this was, literally about a 10-minute walk away from a hanging house. $1,300 a night here, so much different end of the spectrum, but beautiful hotel, like really nice spa, really nice riverfront restaurants, beautiful rooms, very classic Thai architecture, walking distance to a lot of historic sites. And I know you've stayed at some of the uber luxury places there in town a few times as well.
Absolutely. I mean, Bangkok, it really has some of the best luxury hotels in the world. Two of my favorites are quite close to each other, right on the river. You've got Shangri-La and Peninsula that are in close proximity. And I think that, they both have everything you could ask for. They've got, beautiful rooms and beautiful spas. Peninsula, I remember especially having just a wonderful spa treatment there. But I think my favorite part is that they have these boats that, the traffic, again, I mentioned it before, it's legendary in Bangkok. And, you go at the wrong time, you can get stuck, for quite some time in traffic. But they have these boats that will take you to shopping malls, or they'll take you to markets, and they pick up right on the hotel. So you just have to leave your room, walk down past the beautiful pool, whatever the bar, get on the boat, and the city is open to you. So two that stand out in my mind are Shangri-La and the Peninsula Hotel as well. So great stays at both. Yeah.
I know you mentioned shopping, and I know as we jump into what to do in the city.
Let's talk about it. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a great place for shopping. One place I know we both spent some time is NBK. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I love NBK. It's you could call it a shopping mall, but I don't think you would serve it proper justice. I mean, it is just floor upon floor upon floor of anything you can imagine. If you need something and you want to buy it at a store, you can get it at NBK. And there's 2,000 stores. That's everything from small little stands that sell one item to actual, walk-in stores that we would properly understand as a mall shop. And I looked it up, and they have a huge volume of customers. 100,000 people every single day go to MBK. And I know that you purchased quite a special item when you were at MBK just recently.
I did. For our new podcast network, I managed to get some custom hats and T-shirts. They have places that will sort of anything that you need. You just go in, and they can create a custom version for you within about an hour. And away you go. And the other thing you'll find at MBK is virtually any brand you can imagine. It may not be the actual brand, but they've got some version of it there somewhere in the mall.
Yeah. I think I bought a polo shirt there once, and it's not a polo shirt.
It's not.
But they went to the point of actually putting a label on it that said polo, and it had this little like you would actually find on a polo shirt. It was like custom, handmade and wherever. With the Ralph Lauren tradition, but there were multiple misspelled words on the tag, So it was like, why do they even put the tag? We all know it's not a real polo shirt, or buying it at MBK, it's not real. But it was, I thought, well, they put in the effort. I appreciate that very much. But and you've been to some other markets that you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is the street markets are another great thing in Bangkok too that I really love too. I'm sure you've probably been to both of these, but Chatuchak Weekend Market, it's one of the largest markets in the world. Happens every weekend in Bangkok. It's multiple football fields, big, great shopping, eating, just really a great place to experience sort of Bangkok's street culture. And if you're there on a weekend, I think it's a real must-do. And then one that I found just on this most recent trip, a little bit more out of the way, more locally focused, called Chang Chui Creative Park. It's really focused in on like Bangkok's art scene, really great food vendors there as well. And they've got an old cargo plane that they've dropped right in the middle of the market and turned into a really cool cocktail bar as well. So a great place for a night out, great place to really, maybe get away from a bit just the typical tourist attractions and see something that's a bit more authentic and local as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done it a couple times. They have a floating market on the river, and that was pretty special because, you see how people, not just how people sell and their mode of business, but you also see how people live, because these boats where they're selling their goods, and you can just, roll right up to them in another boat and buy what you need. But these are boats where people actually live. They go below deck and they sleep there at night. So any experience in travel where you can see how people live and contemplate how different it is from your own life, I think that's really an interesting experience. So you can go there, you can get produce or fish or whatever, and then you can also see, get this kind of sneak peek on people's lives. So that was also one of my favorite things. So we're talking about produce, we're talking about food. You want to talk a little bit about restaurants in the city?
Yeah, lots of great places. I mean, one of the things I like the most is, when I was staying at Ha-Hang House, the boutique hotel that I mentioned earlier, there were within a half block of there 3 restaurants, all of which I apologize, I don't recall the names of. They were probably virtually unpronounceable anyway, because there was not a single other tourist there. But those were my favorite places. Those are the ones that are filled with locals, authentic local food, and you're looking at anywhere from $2 to $5 for an incredible meal. And then of course the markets themselves as well. At Chang Chui, particularly there were a lot of great food vendors there, so that's definitely something I would recommend for eating. And then another, I hate to keep referencing back shopping places and malls, but Icon Siam, which is like the mother of all shopping malls. It's like this luxury, over the top, beautiful mall right on the banks of the river, as well as an indoor floating market, which is kind of a cool place to go find some good local street food as well. How about you? Any great standout restaurants?
I'll tell you what I love about Icon Siam, and I'll tell you what I love about all of the luxury shopping malls in Bangkok. There's a lot, and that's probably the best one. Air conditioning. I'll tell you, I love the air conditioning. Like it's a great city. I spent a lot of time outside and the city as well. But when you can get that the real taste of the city, like you were talking about the floating market, but you can actually be sort of indoors. I'm okay with that as well. I just have a note here about I had a couple places I was going to recommend. I'm just going to talk about on Sukhumvit, on the main street. There's these soys, SOI, these little lanes that go off. And I was there one time, and we had a culinary guide. I think it was the chef from Hyatt Regency, which is also an excellent hotel on Sukhumvit. And he took us into a number of these soys, and each one would have its own specialty. So one might be noodles, one might be pad thai, one might do a certain kind of rice. And the local people would know. They would say, oh, if I feel like rice today, I'm going to go to soy 8, or I'm going to go to soy 12. And so it's really, it's really worth, I would have never known that as a Westerner, as an outsider, as a visitor, that there are these specializations amongst these lanes off the main street. So maybe, I'd suggest also doing a bit of a culinary tour and being able to sample all these different, specializations, along the back lane. So, that was pretty special also.
Any final tips, can't misses for Bangkok?
I got two. So one is, we talk again, this is my third mention of the traffic, but, the the traffic, there's a lot of traffic. And so, but there is this network of canals that probably I only discovered maybe on my 10th visit to Bangkok. And people, it's basically, they have these long boats that navigate these canals, and you can get a lot of places in the city just by canal boat. And it's like, again, like having a hidden backdoor view into the city. There's restaurants down there, it's a half a level below street level, but you get where you're going fast. You get to see other levels of the city, almost the subterranean level, which I love. And you can get there. It's a little bit cooler with the water and things like that. That's my first suggestion. The other one is just get a suit made. I mean, if you're in Canada, US, or UK or whatever, getting a tailor-made bespoke suit, for most people, that's unobtainable. That's too expensive. But there are some really excellent tailors in the city where, it's not a lot of, $200, $300, $400. You can get a custom made suit. And I had that done a couple trips ago, and it was amazing. And the guy was an interesting guy, and had a great chat with him, and he had cold beer actually at the shop, which you had me at hello. So, but what about you? What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts, I guess I would have three actually. One is, if you're looking to go do the traditional Thai massage experience, which is it's like a yoga. It's more like yoga than a massage, where you go in and they're stretching you out, bending you around like a pretzel. And a great place to do that is one of the largest temples in the city and oldest temples in the city, Wat Po, which is very centrally located. It's right near the Royal Palace. They have a traditional Thai massage school there, and very inexpensive, that you can go in and experience this sort of traditional Thai yoga massage. Highly recommend that. That's very worth doing. Rooftop bars, there's some amazing rooftop bars throughout the city with great views all over the place. Great place to get an evening drink. And then we're actually going to do a bonus episode on this because there's lots to talk about, but the best time to go to Thailand. There is a festival that happens there that I think is one of the best festivals in the world. And we're going to do a bonus festival or bonus episode talking all about that we're going to put up later this week for anyone who wants to come check it out.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. I have not been to the festival, but so I will learn alongside our listeners. I look forward to sort of interviewing you and learning more about this festival as well. So
sounds great. Well, if people are enjoying the travel tips that we're providing and finding them helpful, it's hugely helpful to us if you can drop us a review or a rating on the Apple Podcast Store or on Spotify. We're also working on building out some written downloadable guides that we're going to have up on our site for some of the destinations that we're covering as well, that you can find at escape.com. And I hope you'll come back and check out our bonus episode and find out about what that festival is in Bangkok later this week.